so if anybody wants to rob me, I'll show you the door to come in, and I'll show you exactly how to get away with it. So stay tuned for that. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. So how to explain what's going on here. Welcome to 631. That is what we call this house. About 2.5 years ago, I bought this place with the idea of turning it into a center for creative projects where people could come and work on music and video and writing, and we happen to be in the writer's room. This is you can call it a living room, really, it's just a living room, but it's important when you're setting up a room, especially a living room or a place that people are gonna be hanging out, to curate a really good coffee table book selection. The two important books that I have here that I think are really great for a coffee table are this book of really short prayers and then really cool art that accompanies it, and then a rule book for arguments, because what is a living room for except for arguing, and what is arguing for unless it's done well? So that's why you need the rule book. Keeping in touch with what's going on internationally, just so that if somebody's curious about, what's going on with contemporary quotes or whatever, they can just open it up and take a look. This is the dining room. It's one of the more sparse rooms in the house. One of the cool things is our neighbor has a swimming pool. That sounds like it's unrelated, but in the summer, you can see the sun reflecting off of the swimming pool, and it shines up on the ceiling and has this really cool pattern. And to be honest with you, that's really all I use this room for, is coming in to look at that. So pretty much that's it. The kitchen. Pretty standard setup. We have a word board up there that Silas or I usually rotate quotes on. We rotate quotes on every so often, or ever so often. We switch quotes around on it occasionally. This is a bit much right now, but this is one of the things about the kitchen, is that it's pretty small. So one of the ideas that I have is to put shelving up across the top, right below the ceiling, and then store stuff up there. But that's a little ways in the future. Out here we have our outdoor living room, which is basically, it's a porch with a carpet, and this carpet really makes a huge difference. We spend a lot of time out here in the summers. Yeah, so this is actually where a lot of hanging out happens in the summer months, and then on Tuesdays in the winter. Moving on down to the low point of the house. This is the basement. Watch your head on the way down. This house was built about 100 years ago, and so back then they had these rooms that were dedicated to coal. Through one of these windows, they would actually shovel coal in, and then that's how they would heat their house. This is actually an old coal cellar, which we recently tore down a wall in and then turned it into our pantry. I should explain this. So one of the things with the house is that we have a various number of residents that come and stay for extended periods of time. I've created a series of residential portraits, which, if you're familiar with presidential portraits, every time that we get a new president, they have their portrait painted. So what I've done is I've taken those exact portraits and I've taken the faces of our residents. Beats me if I have any idea what they're doing with this stuff. I don't know what the purpose is, but no, it's the workout area. This is the workout area, which is clearly used non-stop. A bunch of stuff that was left by Gabe and Elena. They just moved down the road a little bit, but they have a bunch of stuff down here. The downstairs room, which is the only empty bedroom right now. And then we've got people coming in October and November, 2 different groups of people who are coming to record music, and they'll be crashing in here. The laundry room. This room is clearly not very photogenic. It is my least favorite room in the house. I do have this idea that it would be cool to take your least favorite place in a house and make it your favorite somehow. So when it comes to that room, the way I think I'm gonna do that is through some decent lighting, probably an armchair, and make it a really cool spot for one person to go and sit and do work. On to the better parts of the house. I'm gonna explain this. This is a piece of art that my cousin Emily created, which I really like a lot. It's based on an old hymn called For All the Saints. This might be my most prized piece of art in the house, actually. there's just like a lot of little things that you don't really think about whenever you buy a house that that then you end up thinking about. If you have books out, I think they should be books that you would recommend. If they're on a shelf, that's one thing because people have to kind of go hunting for them. But if you leave a book out, it should be a book that you actually would want people to read. And of course, we've got Roughing It by Mark Twain. I love this design. It's very modern, which is not what you think of with Mark Twain, but I like it. And then you've got this old book of poetry, which that's an interesting question. So the actual poet is not known. The upstairs bathroom, again, color palette, just having a couple splashes of green with this aloe plant and then this piece of art up here on the wall. I think just adds just enough greenery to make it kind of pleasant to be in here for the most part. This is Marshall's room. We don't have to go in there. Marshall's not home at the moment, so I won't go in there, but this is my room. One of my favorite things about it is this new hat hanger that I just put in, because my hats were pretty much just all over the place. I would just throw them either up on this hook up on my door or just randomly somewhere else. There's not really much else in here of much importance. And then upstairs we've got Silas's room, which is pretty sweet. That room was the attic and it was converted into a complete bedroom. And so Silas actually has it set up so it's like bedroom, living room, office, kind of all in one room, and it's super cool. And this is the studio. Dan and I actually just installed this.
Oh, you're too modest.
Dan always jokes around because the way we wired it, there's this weird wire that's hanging out.
Always saying, oh, you wired that.
Yeah, he's always letting me take all the credit for it, but
Yeah.
it was a 50-50 effort. This poster has been with me at every single one of my desks since high school, or about high school. And so this was at our old house. This was hanging up near my desk, but it wasn't in a frame. It was actually just like taped up. So if you see the edges, you can actually see where the tape ripped. And I recently got a frame for it. Most people would hate that the corners are ripped, but I kind of think it just, you know, it is what it is. It gives it some character.